While unfortunate that Gran Turismo 7 was delayed until 2022, this got me thinking about some of the things that Polyphony Digital could add to the game using some of the extra development time that delay will give them. So for this video, I took a look back at some of the comments on my previous videos about Gran Turismo 7, and I used all suggestions from you guys to make this list of 10 more features that we all hope get in Gran Turismo 7. Starting off, we're going to have to go with more historical and unique vehicles. I remember playing Gran Turismo 5 and 6 and having these really unique older vehicles or historical vehicles. Like, if you guys remember the Moon vehicle, I forget the proper name for it, but that was a ton of fun to drive around that thing and have those really special events like driving on the moon, time trials on the moon. Just more unique and historical vehicles from the past would be an amazing addition to Gran Turismo 7. Next up would be more everyday cars. Look, while Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Porsches are amazing vehicles, and we all want a ton of them in Gran Turismo 7, at the same time, everyone wants to drive the vehicles that they own in real life. I know I do, and I know a lot of people in the comments do as well. So the ability to not only drive the vehicles that we own in game, but to be able to upgrade them and tune them to be able to compete with higher end supercars and sports cars would really add another level of fun to the game. Next up is one that I am strongly agreeing with, and that is 0 microtransactions in the game. Unfortunately, with modern gaming, microtransactions is a ever so increasing curse on the industry, and racing games are not as prone to microtransactions as other forms of games, but it is something that we still need to be aware of in modern games. And while I don't think Gran Turismo 7 will really have any of that, apart from the ability to maybe buy cars off of the dealerships and all of that, I don't think we're going to get any crazy ridiculous booster packs or anything like that. And I really hope that that doesn't come true. Next up, a famous feature from older Gran Turismo games is the racetrack creator. I remember losing myself spending countless hours recreating my favorite racetracks from old Gran Turismo games and just making racetracks that you just dream of in your head and creating your dream vision of a racetrack with all of the ridiculous banked corners in your head is truly amazing, and I really hope that makes a return in Gran Turismo 7. Next, we have Telemetry. Now, Telemetry is an interesting thing because Forza does it interestingly, where if you hold down the bottom button on the D-pad, you can get a bunch of menus that can show up while you're driving, so you can see your throttle inputs, how much horsepower and torque your car is currently making, and all sorts of other important vital information like tire temperature, tire speed. All of these features are incredible, and what I'm thinking is to not only have the ability to look at some of these features while driving, but to also be able to look at these during the replay, when you're going back and analyzing your laps and lap times and trying to figure out where you want to improve. The ability to have a telemetry to see where you make these slight little mistakes is vital and is super important. Next would be a proper day and night cycle. Just imagine having a super long endurance race and having, start off at day or start off at night and then having to work to the opposite, just racing and racing and racing and slowly seeing the light and the environment change around you. That would be so much fun and really just add that extra level of immersion. To go along with the day and night cycle, an excellent dynamic weather system would also really add just a proper next step in terms of making you feel like you're actually driving a race car. Combining the dynamic weather with a dynamic day-night cycle in terms of endurance races and longer races in general just adds that next level of unpredictability, and you gotta be really on your toes to know what you're doing, because if you choose to stay out on dry tires when there's rain in the forecast, or gamble and go on wets early and get that upper edge in the race, this would really be incredible to have in Gran Turismo 7. Next up is a personal one that I really think is important to the game, is better car sounds. Now before you get mad at me, I know Gran Turismo Sport improved dramatically over the past few games in terms of car sounds, but it is still definitely not perfect. You still get the occasional vacuum cleaner sounds, but you know, it is a definite improvement over Gran Turismo 6, which I don't even want to think about those car sounds. But the ability to add that next level of detail to the sounds, and especially on a lot of modern vehicles that have a lot of crackle and pop tunes when you let off the gas, Gran Turismo Sport does have a little bit of that, but I think if we up all that up for the next game in the series, that would really make driving more realistic. Next up would be much larger grids for endurance racing. Now, Gran Turismo Sport has, you have decent sized grids that you can choose from and all of that, but to have ridiculous, humongous grids, like I remember the original Project Cars, and I believe Project Cars 2 as well, had the ability for really huge packs of racers. And that was something that most console racing games just didn't really have at the time. And to have these super long grids that you can choose from would be really incredible. Next up is one that I have a strong feeling we are going to get for sure, and that is a much more in-depth and fledged out VR component. Now, VR in Gran Turismo Sport was interesting, but it was not like a system seller. It wasn't like you buy Gran Turismo Sport for the VR. Gran Turismo 7, part of the reason why a lot of people think that the game got delayed was because of the PlayStation VR 2 support. If you think about it, if Gran Turismo 7 releases mid-2022 around the same time as the PlayStation VR 2, it's going to be a huge system seller for the PlayStation VR 2, especially if Polyphony and Sony work together to create a huge improvement on Gran Turismo Sport's VR, with VR being available on, every car, every track, which is a huge ask. But, we have new next-gen consoles that have a lot more power than the last gen, and a whole new generation of VR from Sony, which should be able to rival the best in the business. With enough development time, I think it is definitely possible. It may not launch with every single thing available to do in VR, but I think that Gran Turismo 7 is for sure going to have a much better VR component than Gran Turismo Sport. Alright guys, that is it for this video. If you have any more suggestions and things you'd love to see in Gran Turismo 7, please leave them in the comments below, as I would love to see what you guys have to say as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I would so much appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video.